Yeah.
But at the tail end of 2020 now, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, but vaccines.
The vaccine does very much exist and is here on our shores and is going to be put inside of other humans soon. Like
it is
probably in the next few days.
It is. That would be the Pfizer vaccine, I believe, or Pfizer BioNTech.
Yeah, be the Pfizer BioNTech.
I think it's BioNTech, or is it BioNTech? Who knows? Who cares?
I mean, branding.
Those who work there. Apart from those who work there, obviously. You probably couldn't get through the gates if you don't know the name of the company.
Well, yeah.
It's a German company, isn't it? So I don't know.
It is. Sorry, I find the lighting I've got going on.
I do find that the names amusing of all these companies. They're exactly what I want them to be called, really, aren't they? Certainly BioNTech and AstraZeneca. That's a good one. Enjoying that.
Yeah, but the AstraZeneca vaccine, okay. So what I understand,
that one's up next, I mean.
Probably the BioNTech. Yeah, the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine. That's it's looking like that one's really effective. Really
95% or something.
Yeah, which is brilliant news. It's also the technology behind it is fucking insane. I've been trying to understand it, and it's like I was suspecting we probably will talk about it, but understanding what we're talking about is the issue, isn't it? Well, okay.
So let's not pretend we know.
Let's just talk. Ish. Right, you know the pictures of the virus you get all over the place, where it's sort of a sphere with a load of spiky bits.
Yeah,
it's got loads of those. Right, so the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine is a genetically engineered kind of just the spiky bit. So traditionally, it's the spike protein. It's a sort of disarmed spike protein that they've kind of made. And
it's kind of a clone, isn't it? Almost.
Yeah, it is a genetically engineered thing, which is just not. Viruses don't have genetics and DNA in the same way.
It doesn't contain virus, this one, does it? Because obviously the flu virus contains virus that's inactive.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of active. When it's activated dead virus is what they usually contain. This year it contains inactive dead virus.
Yeah.
Predominantly so that no one suffers any symptoms, because of course you can get mild, very, very mild symptoms if you have a flu vaccine.
You can.
The reason behind that, of course, is because it's your body thinking there's something wrong, but there isn't, and that's why it stops after a day or so.
Pretty much. I mean, the Pfizer BioNTech though, that's what the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine is the usual sort of dead but activated thing. So that's a pretty traditional vaccine, but it's been researched incredibly quickly. Whereas the Pfizer one and the Moderna one, which is similar but different in some baffling way that I'm not even going to pretend to understand. The Moderna one is also it's basically this. It's pretty much the same, but
these are RNA based, aren't they?
Apparently very important. I guess. Sure. This is where I get lost though, because I don't know science.
Yeah, I was reading something about it, admittedly briefly on my break at work, which isn't really enough time to get a PhD or whatever you'd need for this.
Well,
but there's a lot of talk of DNA and RNA. It's converted into RNA or something, which means it doesn't alter your DNA. There we are. There's the answers.
mRNA?
RNA is something that's different to DNA.
No. mRNA is something. This is just bollocks. No, mRNA. It's the spike protein which is produced by the mRNA in the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, which is a sentence I used in a Facebook status, but I copy and pasted from somewhere else because I don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea. It's so clever that I don't know. I don't know.
Unfortunately, Jack, your secrets have now been revealed because it's recording.
Well, I copy pasted it from a news article, a sentence from a news article. I don't think anyone's going to be particularly pissed off at me for that. But the rest of
I
the
should hope not.
Huh?
I should hope not.
No, well, it would be a bit odd. Copy and pasting scientific terms that you're unfamiliar with is fine, as long as you don't. Well, it is. But yeah, the problem with the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, of course, this is something I do understand, is the transportation, the storage, and the well, everything really about it. Everything apart from the fact that it works if you get it inside somebody. It's got to be stored at about -70°C, which is really hot.
Something like that, between 70 and 8, -70 and 80, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, it's got to be stored incredibly cold. I mean, there aren't many. I was when I worked in university a while back, I'd seen some of these freezers that get that cold, and there just aren't that many of them in the country because people don't need them, because you don't need stuff to be that cold.
There were some meat packing firms that were volunteering, I think, to store it, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as long as it's cold enough, yeah, fine. It's just apparently Pfizer also. This is the thing that amazed me a bit more. Pfizer BioNTech have also developed a special kind of package that keeps it that cold for a while when you're transporting it. So they've already invented the vaccine and a way of transporting it. I've just sat on my arse for the last 10
just
months.
a big crate that gets wheeled in full of those blocks of ice and these tiny little vials. It's just, we've got to get them there quickly because the massive block of ice will melt down to the point where the vial is exposed. That's why there's so few of these.
I assume it must be something like that. I got
15 meters across per block.
Yeah, a load of lorry drivers turning up at Dover, just shivering everywhere because the fucking ice cubes. It's big, but it's getting smaller. Hurry up!
Try and slide them into hospitals. Just hope it goes in.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah, no, I mean that's brilliant. That's the way to transport something that needs to be kept very cold. It's just in some ice.
In the right place where you can quickly grab the vaccine and then quickly get it in anyone.
Yeah, as swiftly as you can. You're just chipping a block of ice off and you're putting that in a syringe, and then you just wait for that to melt, but not too much, just in case it gets too warm, and then you stab someone with it. Perfect.
Yeah, that sounds all above board to me.
So yeah, I mean the thing is, you are probably, because you've had it, we don't know, but you are probably immune. There have been genuine, confirmed reports of people catching it twice, but all of those people had immune problems or incredibly what's the word I'm looking for?
They're compromised in some regard.
Yeah, all of them really.
They're just very fucking unlucky, basically. It's another way.
They had immunity problems. Some there's always something more to that story. It's looking very likely still that people who have had COVID probably can't get it again. It's not some super virus like.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to want to believe that you can't get it again once you've had it, and you do. Yeah. You do feel that way anyway, even if you don't know, because that's the general norm with these things. But I don't, at the same time, I don't like to be stupid about it. I still treat it like I can get it to a degree. But in my mind, I don't believe that I can. But that's because I've read a lot of things that suggest that you probably can't. It's to do with T cells rather than antibodies.
Yeah, your antibodies, your blood doesn't keep. Your body doesn't produce antibodies unless it needs to, so it's.
But obviously, antibodies are only one part of the immune system.
Yeah.
But
again, we're getting very close to the point where we're two people who are not scientists and have no idea what we're talking about.
I know to a degree. I tend not to talk about in particular depth about things I don't know anything about. So these things I have read into somewhat, but I'm not going to start. Going down roads that I don't recognise. That would be folly, if ever there were such. So, but yeah, I mean, I've read that much, and it is to do with T cells rather than the antibody. And it's really a case of that they've discovered that your people who have developed these T cells,
oh, thank you very much.
They're immune up to, I think it's like 8 months. What is it you're drinking?
No,
Have
Prosecco.
you moved on to antifreeze now?
Well, no, I've got Prosecco, but I also have brandy.
There was one interesting story that's been floating around.
Oh yeah,
and it's not really been one story as such. It started with one, and it's been about that monolith that appeared in where was it? Was it Nevada? Was it? I can't remember now.
I can't remember.
It was somewhere in the desert, and which could be anywhere. I think it was Nevada, but I could be wrong. But of course, that one disappeared. That one's actually gone now. But others have popped up in other places.
Yeah.
There's one that's popped up in Romania now, and I think there might have been another one, but I'm not sure. I know there was one that someone put up as a joke, made out of, I think it was tinfoil or something.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think that was.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Someone saw it and thought, well, I want one of those, so they got one now. But yeah, the one in Romania, I don't know much about that really. I just know that one's popped up. Of course, it doesn't really help. Doesn't really help disband the conspiracy theorists, does it?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's either a viral marketing stunt for something or it's an artist mucking around. And to be honest, if it's an artist mucking around, I'll be quite pleased because it's quite nice to just think about something else for a bit.
I think it's an art piece, honestly. Yeah. An art installation.
It's quite arresting. I know people are really down on it, but it's just like, it's fine. Just, what have you done? What have you done to entertain people during this fucking disastrous year? What have you done? It's fine.
Wearing a bird mask and dancing naked in the street, obviously. But,
well,
not me.
I haven't done that either, to be honest.
I'm too busy for that.
Couldn't I? I think it's just an art installation by someone. That's
you sure it's not aliens?
I'm 100% sure it's not aliens. I don't think they'd be that cryptic. I think if aliens turned up, first of all, they'd study us for a bit. And one of the things they'd notice about us right now is that anything with any hint of subtlety or that could be misinterpreted in any way immediately will be misinterpreted, probably deliberately by bastards. So if aliens turn up right now, they will land, they will say, we are aliens, we come in peace, we know you expected us to say that, we're saying it because you expected us to say that. Don't panic. No, you don't have to panic, really don't. We're here, we're friendly. Chill.
Please shooting.
Huh?
Please stop shooting would probably be the next one.
Well, I don't think our immediate response to an alien landing should be to shoot them because they'd presumably be far more technologically advanced than us.
Well, yeah. I mean, a sensible person wouldn't open fire on them.
Not true. Does depend.
But world leaders are not really sensible these days, are they?
That is true. Also, they might just wait till after the US presidential handover on the 20th of January. I don't think aliens are going to visit before the 20th of January. Really, they'll probably go and talk to Joe Biden if they're going to.
They have been waiting for us to wipe ourselves out, to be honest, and they may have been just getting ready, to land, and then of course Biden wins. And think, to wait again for right government.
No, they'll be waiting for at least one major world power, which isn't led by a fucking lunatic. So, because you can't, right? If you're an alien landing right now, where do you go? Who do you talk? Where's your best landing spot? Who do you talk to?
Well, if it were me, if I were an alien, I would probably land in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
Because there's no earthlings there, very few. And I suppose I'd want people to know that I've been here without actually interacting with anyone. So I'll probably just sort of leave some sort of marker, I suppose. I don't know. So it's gonna weather quite well in the desert. So I don't know. I'll make out of.
I mean, you make a good point, but I don't like it.
Stainless steel, probably. That would weather quite well, wouldn't it? And I'll probably plant it in the rock, quite deep in the rock. I'll make it so it's fairly tall, taller than maybe a person and a half or something, and can be seen by a helicopter.
Right. Okay.
And then I'd leave.
No, I get it.
Never come back. Apart from when I come back to visit Romania, obviously later on.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it's a beautiful landscape. You would.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because what the problem would be is that I'd be a little bit annoyed that they've removed my first one. So I'd probably then, because I'm currently, flying over Romania on the way out, I'd probably think, well, I'd just put one here then.
So yeah, okay.
And that's just what I'd do. I'm not really talking about them. I know what you mean.
I'm of the left, very much so.
They're
and
sort of more fence-sitting types, though, aren't they? The centrists, that I don't really consider.
Yeah, no, they're not fence sitters. No, they claim not to like extremes and then fuck everything up all the time. They like the 2012 Olympics opening ceremony, and they like the early 2000s with Gordon Brown in charge, and not Tony Blair. Well, they like Tony Blair. They like a rat war, and they just sort of quite.
That's definitely centrism.
Huh?
Yeah, that's definitely centrism, wanting things to be as it was with Gordon Brown.
Yeah.
Well,
Gordon Brown was fine. Sort of nothing.
It was just really sort of a nothing, wasn't it?
It was sort of a left of centre nothing, in the same way that David Cameron was sort of a right of centre nothing. They were just nothing. But their legacy is nothing. They're just completely empty, no impact puffs of air.
I think the problem is they're more appealing to people on the left now than they are to people on the right, purely because they did far less damage.
What you mean?
People on the right would consider anything that current governments do as damage, obviously, but what we would call damage.
I think they bloody do. You look at the popularity of the Tories collapsing, the popularity of Brexit collapsing. There's a
thankfully at the moment,
yeah.
There's always a certain point you reach though where people start to see just how ridiculously useless people are. It's just been one thing after another, hasn't it?
Yeah, but it normally takes longer. Well, that's what I mean about this pandemic being an accelerant.
Oh yeah, absolutely, It does. It has accelerated everything to the point. Even people who couldn't have seen it before, it's literally been shoved in their face, hasn't it? They can't look away.
You can't pretend. You can't pretend they've done a good job. You can't pretend they're competent. You can't pretend they're honest. You can't.
I don't know if they even pretend anymore.
You can't lie a pandemic away.
This little face.
There she is. You can see her in the corner.
Remarkably pale there, but with this sort of dark hair. It's like
playing Animal Crossing. Just chilling out on a blanket.
Who could ever have suspected that Ella would be playing Animal Crossing?
Amazing, isn't it? Who would have thought?
It
looks like I've got some weird sort of distortion in the middle of the screen under my neck, but I haven't. It's just Prosecco. All right. So I don't know. It's this baffling situation now where we've got a decidedly unpopular Prime Minister. And I'm glad he's unpopular because he's Boris Johnson. He should always have been unpopular. But apparently even Tory backbenchers and some cabinet members have taken to calling him Advent Boris because they say his days are numbered. And that's the sort of thing that Conservatives think is clever.
Advent Boris.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the worst calendar ever, wouldn't it? Opening every single door and it's all Boris Johnson. But
well, I mean, you just have to hope he was wearing clothes.
Every door you open, he's got fewer clothes on.
Or you just open a top left door, number one, and it's just a corner of a strange mop of hair. And then by the time you open to number 25 in the bottom right, it's a full-length portrait of Boris Johnson gurning at you.
Merry Christmas.
That's
But
all
not
he
too
says. He doesn't. He says, Merry Christmas. And then he says something in Latin, but it's not very good Latin. And then he says, I don't know, fucking whiff waff or some bullshit about fucking Napoleon, or he's just such a cunt.
Usually some sort of line from the 9th century or something. I don't know. Whatever.
No, it's not. It's not. His Latin and his Greek, they're so. You know anything? If you know anything about sort of ancient Greek history or ancient Roman history, he's such a basic bitch whenever he talks about this stuff. It's fucking pitiful. Anyway, probably going to cut all that because none of that was anything.
But then again,
imagine being sued by Rudy Giuliani. First of all, it'd be confusing because neither of us have any money and neither of us have anything to do with politics, and he's not going to watch this YouTube channel ever. But more importantly,
yeah, straight off the bat, it would be confusing.
It would. There's a lot of reasons it would be confusing. But imagine being in court.
It'd be the least threatening lawsuit ever, I think, because you already know you're going to win.
I mean, would it? Because it would be unthreatening in the traditional sense, because you'd know you're going to win. Yeah, you'd know it'd be thrown out of court, and he'd have to pay all the court costs. But
it would be very inconvenient, wouldn't it?
It would be threatening in another way, because you wouldn't, because the man's a maniac. You'd get into the courtroom and he'd be opposite you, standing in the dock, or you'd be standing in the dock, or whatever. I don't know how courts work. And you'd just be worried that he was going to just break loose and start going feral and savaging the judge or something. He's.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't work in his favour. Obviously, it would help you win, but
but he doesn't care about that. I have a theory that he no longer cares about winning anything, and that he just wants to be in a courtroom. That's his main and only goal. He just likes being in court.
He wants some relevance now after 9/11. I don't know. Who knows what his aim is? He's really not helping his legacy here, is he? But I feel like he's gone past that now.
I don't think he's got a humiliation fetish. I think he actually wants to win. But I think more than that, he wants to be talking to judges. I think he just loves talking to judges in a court.
Well, he's definitely doing the right thing there, isn't he?
He is. He loves talking to judges in court. Maybe he does have a bit of a humiliation fetish, because some of the stuff he said to judges has been real dumb, really dumb.